Welcome to the AAA, also known as the AAA, the podcast where we talk everything AA from alcohol to recovery. I'm your host, Joe Van,
Hey, it's D. How's it going?
and welcome back to another episode. So, our last episode, we're getting into the mold, into the thicken of the steps. Everybody knows episode 4 is being one that's almost, it's the hardest to pass once you get past step 1, of course. And step 5, which is what we're going to be talking about in this episode, is the one that's the follow up to the action that you need to perform for
The
step 4.
follow up, yes.
Yes, the classic follow
We
up
love
to
a
the
good
previous
follow-up.
step. It's a two-parter, and this is part 2. But before we get into that, we have today's sponsors. Today's sponsor is Toxic Masculinity. Toxic Masculinity, keeping boys hitting the bottle instead of dealing with their emotions since the dawn of alcohol itself. So, thanks for being our sponsor today.
Love a
Thanks
good
for
sponsor.
just
Love
allowing
good
yourself
sponsors.
to shine your light on all of us.
Love
Yeah, so I guess let's just jump into it, right? On that note.
it. Yes, please.
Yeah. So step 5, we'll read it out for you first, and then we'll kind of dive right into it and go through the workings of our
Literally.
own personal thoughts and sort of procedures on this. So step 5 reads as: we admit to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So that one, it's one of those steps where,
Oof. That's all I have to hear is oof.
yeah, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has regrets
Oof.
just from growing up, being a child, learning what the world is. It's like, even if you're not, and obviously we're talking about recovering from alcoholism. So if anybody has made a mistake, it's obviously us. But
Yeah.
even for people who have never had a compulsory addiction or any kind of compulsion that has gotten in the way of them procuring or chasing the pursuit of happiness, has still, you can't be human without making mistakes, right? So regardless of if you regret it or not, it's like everybody's wronged in one way or another, even if it doesn't appear to them that they might have performed a wrong, but someone else feels that they have been wronged. Step 5 is a very humbling step. It's the one that pushes you to take your inventory from step 4 and apply it. Going
Correct.
out and talking to the people that maybe you've wronged, or at least having discussions with people in your life about your situation. Um, yeah, and
Correct, yeah.
obviously this step is different for everyone, how they approach it, how they deal with it, if they go all the way, if it's just one or two people. There's no wrong way to do it, except for just not doing it. So,
What I think is a cool thing that you mentioned is when, for instance, there's like a falling out between two people, whether it be a family member, friend, relationship. There's always two sides to the story, which I find so interesting. And
Yeah,
how
there's never one.
sometimes when you like going through this step for me, I realize a lot that I thought I was. It's a lot about being right and wrong when at the end of the day, that doesn't matter at all.
No,
Nobody
not at all.
cares about being right or wrong. And that's what in my head at the time was being right was probably everything to me. I always had to be right, and I never wanted to be wrong. And it's so interesting how there's two sides to each story where you'll have a falling out with someone and you still think you're right.
Yeah.
And you see so much later once you go through these processes and these steps that you were wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Do you know what I
it's,
mean?
it's the ultimate humbling act, right? Yeah, because one thing I've heard in my meetings in AA is there are 3 types of people in AA,
Okay.
usually.
Okay.
They're the people who are dumb, the people who are crazy, and the people who are both. You
Okay.
know, obviously,
Yeah, agreed.
we're all a little dumb and a little crazy, but yeah, they usually say the hardest battle is obviously to overcome oneself or one's own compulsions. And yeah, I always thought about how I was like self-aware that I had a problem for 2 years before finally pushing through what I needed to and finally having that breakdown to be able to start to stop, or to tell others that I have a problem and I need help and I need to stop.
Yeah.
So I definitely fell in the crazy category because I knew I had a problem and still didn't do anything about it for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's crazy. Yeah, it's
yeah,
literally
because
crazy talk.
obviously it's harder for other people who don't even think or are aware that they have a problem for other
Mm-hmm.
people to try and intervene and tell them that they have a problem and they need to stop, right? That's the dumb aspect of it. But yeah, it's really hard when you have people telling you something that you can even agree with, but that still doesn't stop you from doing
Yeah.
whatever it is you're doing, right?
And
So
again, like it's not. It's like it's so interesting when it comes about to being right and wrong. When you're going through these steps and processes, you don't really realize what you're doing, and who you're affecting, and how this ripple effect affects other people in your circle.
yeah,
And you are the ones making those choices and making this a right or a wrong situation, essentially. For me specifically, I didn't talk to majority of my family for. It's like I had to choose one or the other. It's like alcohol or your family. Is that right? Is that wrong? Who cares, really? But at the end of the day, it's how I feel, and I felt like for me specifically, in the long run, I think you would want to have communication with your family on at least just like a nice, good terms, right? If you can fix that relationship, why not, right?
yeah, to the best of your ability. Because
Why not have it
sometimes,
positive than negative?
yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like regardless of if you're estranged to certain relationships you once had in your life, whether it's friends or family, it's not like the people go away. I mean, even if they
Exactly.
die, it's like they're still with you. It's a matter of making sure that you at least do whatever you can to try to right any wrongs, right? It first takes step four of looking into yourself and trying to record or articulate the things that maybe
Yeah.
you've done wrong in your life. And then this step is about trying your best to apply them. And
Yeah.
like for me, and this one I won't get too into, but there's like two people in my life that aren't going to go anywhere, but I have completely separated from myself. And maybe I'm in the middle of needing to potentially talk to them. But it's like one of them is like a really old friend, and in my circle of friends, so they're not going to go anywhere. But we had a huge falling out where,
And this is when you were drinking, right?
yeah, and I was still drinking, and yeah, and it was one of those things where I absolutely think that they were in the wrong, and they're
Yeah.
they're one of the people that will never admit when they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like at least it's not just me that thinks that. It's like everyone knows this person to be someone who has no humility,
Yeah.
who's always like I'm right about everything.
Yep. I have a friend just like this.
But just because it's the case doesn't mean that I should be walking around harboring this grudge, which I
Correct.
honestly still feel like I am. So I'm in the middle of this process. I'm not a
To
cured
this day?
person.
To this day?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
So I'm
Because
not solved for it. I'm a troubled person. I'm
so
not.
interesting because
Yeah.
when I'm a year sober, right?
Mm,
Now going on well, I've no now I'm 2 years sober, going on 3, but
mhm.
the time this happened was last year. It's really hard because it's 2020. 2020 just happened, so it's kind of
The
like
trickery of the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But as far as months go,
Um,
it's like.
so of last year, essentially, when I lost my dog, that was a real trigger point for me to really elevate things to the next level. So now I run my own business. I don't work pretty much a 9 to 5 job. I'm kind of a lot more fulfilled doing, like, I'm doing a podcast. I'm so excited, like just little things like that where my life has changed so much. But essentially, when that happened, I had a falling out with a friend that was one of my best friends. Is one of my best friends, and we had a falling out prior to this. And she came and left me a letter at my apartment one time, and I read the letter, and I have the letter still on the board there.
Yeah.
She wrote me this letter like maybe 8 years ago, and I still have it. But essentially, no matter what, like, there's going to be falling outs, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but there's still always going to be people that are there for you, and you need to, at the end of the day, like, I was in the wrong, she may have been in the wrong, I may have been right, she may have been right, but at the end of the day, we just putting it as it's in 2020, it's 2020, let's move on, let's leave whatever's in 2019 behind. Like, let's try to be both better for ourselves and move forward together, because at the end of the day, it's really, really not worth spending life harboring those things. So maybe you should try chatting to your friends about it
Yeah.
and just like really think about what upset you and things like that. Because that can, like, for instance, these are things where when I was drinking, when I drank, that's when that truth came out.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
you don't want those things to kind of affect you where now you're thinking, did I do something wrong? Did I do something right? You always want things to be kind of like going on the good path, the positive path.
Yeah, or at least the clear path. You
Yeah,
don't want
the
to be
clear path,
confused
right?
or just like stuck in a fog, right? Even like in recovery, because that doesn't help, right?
Yeah.
You got to try and bring everything out in the open and be able to see clearly and be able to have conversations that need to be had rather than just letting it harbor. I say, as a complete hypocrite, at least in one instance, right?
I let it harbor. Why not?
Well, yeah. So it's like not only do I have an issue with a friend, but I I got classic daddy issues. Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody does, right?
Mm-hmm.
But me specifically, yeah, it's like my dad, he kind of raised me, kind of didn't. He was in the picture for my entire young life, right? So it's
Okay.
not as if he left, but he was never there for me. He had no his interests were the complete opposite of mine. And it wasn't just
Mm-hmm.
a case of rebellion. It's like I clearly just was interested in different things, but he didn't
Yeah.
take any effort in trying to find them out. And in the later years, like when he finally left our household,
Yes.
and he did it for terrible selfish reasons, and I tried to uncover what was going on, and I tried to have conversations with him,
Mm-hmm.
only to find out that he's just a compulsive liar. Every time we talked, I thought things went well, and then would later find out, like, as a matter of fact, not just a he said she said, but like
Yeah, it's just like
as a matter of fact,
lies.
that the things he said were a complete lie.
Just lies.
And I'm like, why are you doing that? Do you want to have a relationship with me? And then I'll call him out on it, and he'll just be delusional and be like, no, 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 that's not, you got the wrong picture. And I'm like, but you
Mm.
specifically said this thing, and it was really this that happened. And like, how can how do you justify
Yeah,
yourself
like
when
how do
there's
you
proof of your
still?
lies? And then I explained it to you that I know for a fact that what you're saying isn't true, and then he still goes, no, it's true. It's like I don't like. It's
It's hard.
frustrating.
It's really hard.
Yeah, it's like with the relationship with the friend, I feel like that's something that I need to fix. But with the relationship with my dad, I feel like I've done all I could. Like I literally have tried to have the conversations with him and give the benefit of the doubt, and he's still just constantly lying. And so I am sort of now at peace with the fact that he's always going to be in my life,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can't get rid of family,
Yep.
but it's my choice to just have a distanced, amicable relationship with him
Yeah.
until he comes to a point where maybe he has like some kind of
You
emotional
never know. Yeah.
catharsis. You
Or he
never
just
know
has a
what
turning
happens with other
point.
people, but I've given him the opportunity, and so I'm at peace with how our relationship currently is, and I just kind of wait to see what happens with him. But it's like I'm not,
But for your
I
health
don't
and
harbor
for
hate.
your yeah, like for your health and your mentalness, like you need to make sure you're good at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, there's just no drama there.
yeah, and
It's like he's doing him, I'm doing me.
that's really really hard because at the end of the day, this is
It'd be nice if we had a
family.
good relationship,
Yeah.
but yeah, we just have a
And
polite one.
this is where like having a friend is sometimes like is any situation is everybody's situation any it could be different for everybody like there's so
Yeah.
many different remember we were talking about equations the equation could be different for
So
anyone.
different. There's so many variables.
My
Infinite
situation is
variables.
like my dad is quite similar. My dad is more of he is very laid back. He's super super laid back where it's like he just
Yeah.
doesn't almost care almost, but he does care. It's just he's just super laid back.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the role that my mom took on where she kind of really gave structure to everything.
Yeah.
So once my mom passed away, it was like there's no structure to anything. Now I'm just like going wild, going loose. It's crazy how am I able just to like literally just do whatever I want. Like you have no structure. You think that's like the best thing
Summer
possible.
vacation
It's
or
like the best
something.
thing. It's like
Yeah.
literally a summer vacation for like years. You're thinking, oh, that's so awesome. Blah, blah, blah. And your father doesn't check up on you once. But it's like he has his own life that he's going through. He has his situations that he's going through. He has his ups. He has his downs. And yes, he has a son and
He has
children and he
responsibility.
has responsibilities. Doesn't mean that he has to, like, it does, but it doesn't mean that
It
for
ought
him,
to,
yeah,
but yeah, sometimes
that's where it's
people don't do it.
hard. And that's where
Yeah.
for me, in specific, I branch more towards my friends. Like my friends are really that like family bond that I have. Like some people, for instance, probably don't even have family, right?
Yeah.
You create your own family, and that's where those ups and those downs, sometimes you just have to take that step back. Like I almost didn't talk to this friend for basically almost a year. Didn't talk to her.
Yeah.
And every not you know how it's just not every day, but it's like very often you think of this person, right? Very,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
often.
yeah.
And it's just like, why am I harboring this? Why am I holding this?
Yeah.
Let's just try to move on and fix. I think the main thing is like fixing the issue, and I think for me was I just had to apologize because I did was the first one to come out a certain way
Yeah.
and say certain things to her where I was in the wrong, I think. But at the same time, there is my side of the story where I felt like that the reason why I react that way was it was justified because of something prior with her other friend, right?
Yeah.
So there's always going to be two sides to each story. Like we could get your dad on here and he can say something completely different to what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
people
yeah.
might agree and say, okay, well that's a little bit more of an understanding.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's where it's hard where when you say right is right and wrong is wrong, right? Like it's really really hard where you have to kind of justify other people's actions sometimes, especially the ones that are like in your circle.
Yeah, yeah, you have to give a benefit of doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, especially because as I just mentioned, two relationships that I aren't currently good in my life. For both of them, I said that I'm essentially in the right. Where it's like, I feel like with the friend, I easily could be giving more leeway. I think
Okay.
I was too harsh with my reaction of offense to some of the things he was saying
Okay.
because he was definitely attacking my character and my personality, and that's why I
Okay. Fair enough.
reacted, right? So I was in like a self-defense mode, but I still like I definitely should have forgiven him by now. So it's like maybe
Yeah.
that's something that I'll do.
Or you just need to like literally just like mention it and talk to the person because it really really does change the aspect of
The
things.
second you talk, yeah.
Yeah,
The second,
because I had
yeah.
the same situation happen where, because I'm now working off for my own, I reached out to someone that I was working for prior,
Yeah.
and I just made a little joke, just being like, "Wow, I can't believe that you're still like rolling with that type of stuff. Like since
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like you've been doing that since
Since I've
I've
seen
been
you.
there. Like
Yeah.
you guys should be doing new stuff."
Yeah.
And the way I perceived it as is I was making a joke. Like it's like
You were being lighthearted, but then
Like,
they took it as
and then
judgment. Yeah.
I was with another friend and another friend mentioned it and said that maybe they were a little offended. I'm like, were they offended? Who knows? Because it got brought up. So I think that essentially it did tweak a little something, right?
Yeah.
For me, it literally like it harbored in me for quite some time, where I was just like, I'm done. I'm done with that friendship because you think. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, if that's a friend, why wouldn't the friend just mention it to me?
Yeah, instead of talking to other people. about
That's
what
how
you
I
said,
see it. Like
instead of
that's
talking
how
to
I
you.
see it.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I see it.
Yeah.
But I let it. I didn't mention anything about it. I talked to it about a friend, and the friend was like, "Just let it go," because essentially, you wouldn't have known if you didn't talk to this person about it. Like it would have just right, and it just would have went on. But it's still months and months. It harbored in me. It just in there, and I just one day I just said, "Hey, you know what? I really want to apologize. I didn't mention that I talked to somebody about it. I just said, hey, you know what? I just really want to apologize for the way that I had said something prior, because I just honestly thought it was a little bit of a joke. But at the same time, I realized that it could have came off a little offensive.
Yeah.
Even though I still had in the back of my head, I felt like I was just really just making a joke. But at the end of the day, that person, I'm thinking about this person so often and how I affected them to the point where they had to say something. That is not who I want to be and the type of like energy I want to give off.
Yeah.
So I had to just make amends. And it turned out that they had said, oh, well, you know what? I didn't even really think it was that. I don't think anything of it. It was just like, I just mentioned it and it was just chat. And thank you so much for really mentioning that to me, because now it makes me realize that I could really say anything to you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it
No
opened up
kidding.
new doors. And it's like, now we're even closer.
Yeah. Communication's the key, as they say,
Communication
right?
is
That's all
the
it
key,
takes.
man. Communication is the key. But for instance, sometimes that's not the case, though.
Well-
For your
well-
dad, for instance.
Yeah, is that just it's just like a chemistry thing or who knows what, but it's like clearly
door
we're
doesn't
not going to
open.
be friends.
The door doesn't open. It's just like,
And it just won't. Some people just can't
You just gotta
collaborate with each other's lives. Yeah, and it's unfortunate when that happens. Yeah, but a case of like me absolutely being in the wrong, and it's kind of similar to what you were just saying, and I just kind of remembered it was, and this was just like 2 or 3 days ago, but I was at my girlfriend's house, and her family has like movie nights that they do, and we were watching
Okay.
one movie, and she's like on one couch and I'm on the other. Just, there's not a lot of room on the couch, obviously, and I'm with her family. I don't want to be cuddling her. You know how it is. Anyway,
Yeah, you don't.
semantics aside, we're on different couches, and she's starting to fall asleep, and she naps all of the time. So it's not like she's not getting enough sleep. She gets all the
Hmm.
sleep in the world. She
Okay.
just is a napper. It's just we're watching a movie and she's passing out. So I like take one of the pillows and I throw it at her. Like it's a pillow. And obviously I'm just goofing around with her. But then after the movie's done and stuff and we go away and we're like just with each other,
No. Oh
she's
my
like, I
god.
really did not like I felt like that was an attack. Like I didn't appreciate that. That was such a rude way to wake up and like all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like I was just goofing around. And she's like, no, I think you're like, like I don't want you
Wow.
to be doing that. I'm like, I won't, I swear. And then I'm saying sorry, but I'm like laughing while I'm saying it. And she's like, you don't mean it. Like I know you don't
Like
actually
it's a
mean it that you're
serious
sorry.
thing, yeah, but
Yeah, and I was like, no, I swear, I'm sorry. Like I shouldn't be laughing. It was like honestly, I was being so lighthearted and jokey. But all you got to do is say I don't like it, and I'll never do that again. I won't throw pillows at
yeah.
you while you're asleep. I can understand how jarring that is to be woken up by something being thrown at you. Like it was,
It was just a pillow. Yeah, I
I
know what you
know,
mean though. I
but
know what you
but
mean.
it's like
But
it was
for
clearly
her though, it's
abrasive from
different.
her experience. Yeah, she was
It's different.
extremely shocked and jarred by it. So it's like, okay, all you gotta do is say the word, and I won't do it again.
And
And
like
then
be
so once we
scared.
talked about it and came through it, I obviously had a very different experience than her,
Hmm.
right? But yeah, once I was able to hear her perspective, I was like, you're right. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like different. It's just different perspectives. Like
Different people
she
experience
may
things
have
differently.
you
Like
never know what
if she did
happened.
that to me, I would think it's funny and fine.
But
So that's why I did it because I just thought it
something
was
as
funny.
light as just a pillow throw, it's like
It can
that
be
could be
other people
something
won't
for
like that.
somebody. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
everybody's different, so you got to
oh
take that
man,
into
like just
consideration.
so many little things like that where I'm just like really,
Sometimes you got to take a step back
you
and
just got
think
to take a step back.
outside your own head, right? Where you go like
Hmm.
maybe this is offensive to other people.
And I think when I was drinking, I did not have that.
No,
I didn't
you
have that
can't.
ability to
Yeah, it's like tunnel
do
vision.
that. It
Yeah,
makes me just always think I have to be right. So therefore, I'd get into arguments and that's where it's
yeah,
like, it's hard when you. It's a. That's where I'm trying to like stay at a point where it has to come to a middle ground where it isn't really about being right or wrong. Sometimes it's just about being better and like going to the next point. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, she felt a certain way, you felt a certain way, and it's you minor to you, but it may be like burning fire for her. So to show you laughing is now going to show that that fire is you really don't
I'm
care
not
about the fire. You're not
appreciating. Yeah,
appreciating how hot that fire is burning. She wants you to put it out and like you know what I mean. And it's like that's really for me. I'm thinking in my head with my friend. I'm thinking, oh well, I'm just like being funny, but
yeah,
it's like maybe that offended her. You know what I mean? You never know in different situations. Like I had a situation even too with my roommate where like the furnace was broken and like I was like super mad that I woke up and
yeah.
these people were in my house. Like I was so
Oh,
mad.
oh, just people to fix it.
So mad. I was like, how can you just let people in here without letting me know like that people are coming into the house?
So invasive.
It's
Yeah,
so like intense.
yeah.
And he was like, well, I didn't know. Like I just but it's like for me, I had a
Strangers
situation
were just coming into the
I
house.
don't I had a situation where like I was going to my home one time and two guys jumped me when I first moved to
Really,
yeah, when I first moved to Hamilton on Canada Day. I was
really.
walking my
Oh my
dog
god.
with my little dog, and this was even to the friend I was dropping off. This friend that I had got just recently now, emailed her and said, "Hey, you know what? I apologize for the things I said."
Yeah.
This friend I was dropping off at the GO station. I was walking my dog home, and these two guys were so far down the block, like so far down, like literally blocks and blocks away. As I'm just about to get into my apartment, they just jump me and grab all my stuff.
Oh my god.
So it's just like little things where like for me, I don't like people coming around me without me knowing and like unexpected. So like I'm thinking like
And the roommate, if you didn't tell him that story,
he wouldn't
wouldn't
know.
have
He
known.
like
Yeah.
literally so understood like afterwards, right?
His
And it's like
perspective is different than yours,
I don't
right?
need to
Yeah.
share that and tell people that, but it's just I wanted to give him that perspective of this is why I reacted that way, and I apologize too because I felt think of it as like he doesn't know that background story, right?
Yeah.
He just knows that I was offended or whatever. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you speak about it and you come to that term where it's like it's either a yes or it's going to be a no kind of thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And then now, just in relation to the step being a step of action, um, what the one story that or the main story that I want to kind of tell for this podcast is about, and it's one of those things where it's like I'm sure I'm not the only one that's had this experience, but
Mm-hmm.
when I had an emotional breakdown, when I finally um, came to the realization emotionally that I need to stop. When I was finally able to have that kind of experience of this is destroying my life and I need to stop because it's only going to keep getting worse. I texted my girlfriend saying like we need to talk, and
Okay.
so obviously she's extremely worried. She has no idea what we're going to talk about, and it sounds like we're breaking up or
Yeah, like
something,
why the hell
right?
would you text her that? Are you
But because
crazy?
because it is a serious
Yeah, but
conversation,
you
so I
don't
was like,
say
we need to talk.
that. Anyways, continue.
Like in brackets, be like, we're not breaking up.
Yeah, like you need to literally have said that. If not,
But
I would be like going
also
terrified.
going, yeah. But yeah, so I let her sit with that for like half an hour, and I'm like we're 2 cities apart or a city apart,
True.
and so I'm talking to my friends first because I'm just like I need to like it's like an explosion in my chest. I'm like I need to talk to the people in my life. So
Yeah.
I talk to my family and then I talk to my friends and then I drive over to her place and I sit her down
Okay.
and I said, there's something really important I need to tell you. And first she's like, what happened? Like, are we breaking? Or she's like hyperventilating. So it's like we're not breaking up or anything. I just need to confess something to you. And then so now she's thinking, did you murder someone? Did you cheat? Like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, I've been lying to you for our entire relationship
Okay.
about or like it's an omission of truth because I never specifically said I don't have a drinking problem because she's never asked that because I
Right.
intentionally made sure that she would never find out.
Same with me.
I very
Nobody ever. Yeah.
strategically did it so that that she would never think there's a problem. So it's like a complete,
It's
denial
crazy
of
how we
asset.
could do that too. Like that is some
Compartmentalization.
serious,
It's
that's some
insane. It's
serious
like some
skills right there.
psychopathic
Yeah, it's
shit.
some
Yeah.
serious like
It's a mastery of lying.
Mission Impossible, like Tom Cruise shit.
Yeah, like you will do anything in your power to make people think everything's okay.
Secret
It's
spy
so weird.
101, like you're a Russian spy. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane.
But yeah, so for 2 years
Continue.
we were dating, and like at the beginning of the relationship too, I was like, now I have a girlfriend because I was single for like 5 years before. I was like, now I have a girlfriend. I'm not going to be drinking anymore. But what
But
ended up
nope,
happening
happened.
was I just threaded it into our relationship where I saw her one day, drank the next day, saw her one day, drank the next day, so she would never have a clue I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I would wake up the next day, like whether or not I have a hangover, I'm fully functional. I go out the door, I do my daily job. I get to my job at 6:30, finish at 5. No one would have any clue that I'm like getting drunk every other day.
That's that term, the cake term, where it's like you're trying to have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's that
I'm
weird
trying to do the
term.
impossible, and it's clearly gonna crash. Yeah, it's like the unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. Eventually, something's gonna happen. It's just gonna explode. And so I sat her down and said, "I've been lying to you for our entire relationship for 2 years.
Wow. That's
I
so
have
intense.
a drinking problem. I'm an alcoholic,
Oh, I would have
and
been
I
like,
and,
oh,
and I need to stop right now."
okay.
And
Oof.
I'm like I'm bursting with tears too while saying all this stuff, right? I'm just a complete mess. But I'm like I've been lying to you this entire time, and I'm so sorry. And subsequently enough, even after all of that emotion,
Mm-hmm.
after I stopped drinking, I started smoking cigarettes again,
Oh yes, yes, yes.
and I did
You
that for
mentioned
about
that to me.
3 months, and then we ended up uh, taking a break because of that. She was so disgusted, and I was doing that secretly. I don't know why the fuck I did this. It's
You just
insane.
went back into Russian spy mode.
Yeah, but for something else, I switched from one addiction to the next,
Yeah,
right?
you went from sniper to like assassin.
Yeah, to like knife or something.
Yeah,
It's
like-
insane.
To,
But
like,
but yeah, so I I don't know.
assassination with knives. Yeah.
But anyway, and then so I had to go through the same thing. It wasn't as explosive. I didn't have like an emotional breakdown, but I confessed to her because I couldn't keep lying. And then and it was like we're not going to be together if you're smoking. And I ended up like going to the doctor and taking pills
Oh, yeah,
to
you
stop me
mentioned
from
this to me.
smoking because I
They
needed
worked
to
though.
do
Those
that.
things worked.
And it worked. It was with 100% success rate. It absolutely worked on me. Um,
But,
but
down for that.
yeah, I was clearly in the wrong 100% with everything. I was inexcusably. There was no like other side to the story. There was no like, oh sure, she should be upset that I was
Yeah,
lying
it's
to
like
her
there's
about
no-
hurting myself.
There's
It's like there was no like what is my side of the story? Oh, but it felt good. It's like it didn't by the end.
Like there's no right, there's no wrong. You're just wrong. Like you're
Yeah, I was
not
just
right
being
in that
selfish.
situation. It's literally like being a bachelor. Like you're being single but being in a relationship.
Yeah, but you're doing it intentionally, and you're doing it in this weird self-sabotaging way. It's
It's like
ridiculous.
that's like the life you live when you're single. You can't have and that's where it goes
Yeah.
to the term of people always wonder about that term. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And I looked up the term, and that's not actually the term. It's actually you want to eat your cake and have it too. That's the actual term. And it's just over time, it's gotten
It's
to
morphed.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
telephone game.
Which it makes so much more sense when you say it like that. It's like you're trying to eat so much.
You're trying to eat this cake but also have it, and
Yeah.
it's like you can't. You want two things that are mutually exclusive by definition.
Yeah.
You cannot have a cake that sits there and consume it and still have it. It's like
Yeah.
it's going to be gone if you eat it.
Yeah.
You got to have one or the other. You're either going to have that cake or you're going to eat it.
Yep, it's one or the other, and that's where a lot of people don't get that concept. It's one or the other. You
Yeah,
eat
you
the
can't-
cake, it's gone. Like
Yeah, you can't have a relationship with people that you love and also be a selfish,
yeah,
singling yourself out to being alone alcoholic. It's like you can't be alone and be with someone.
man, those are
You
so
have to choose one or the other.
And like it's just like it's again the equation, right? Like because that's how I used to be, and then it got to a point for me where it's like, okay, now I can't. Now it's like, okay, I'm at like a family function or something, and then there's alcohol, and I start drinking, and then I can't stop drinking, and then I'm going home and I'm like arguing in the car about the most stupid things.
Asinine,
Like,
yeah,
it's just
like
your
non-issues.
TV and stuff. Like it's just so stupid. It's just
Yeah.
like, why am I doing this? Why? For me, it's like I never thought, okay, this is wrong.
Yeah, like
This is a wrong thing.
maybe
I'm
this
doing
is
so
wrong.
wrong.
Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking, yeah, I'm just a little tipsy. Oh well. And I think some people actually kind of do see it that way. They're like, yeah, he's just a little tipsy. It is
People
what
see
it
that
is.
about you, absolutely. Yeah, like and still to this day, I'm living with my family. I've yet to move out, so like, woohoo, go current economy. But, I, yeah, like my room is right next to my sister's, and my mom is always she's a light sleeper. She'll wake up if she hears a noise, and they clearly knew that I was drinking,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't seem to think I had a problem, even though
Yeah.
I was drinking almost every night alone in my room.
Yeah.
So they were clearly compartmentalizing in their head, oh, it's fine. And I would tell them stuff. I would say, like, I need a drink to go to sleep, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And because I'm not being aggressive or, like, smashing the walls and stuff, they think I'm not an
That's
alcoholic.
fine. Yeah, because
They
we were
always
essentially
just-
functioning alcoholics. Because we had a full-time job and then some.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
running restaurants and stuff, and like it was just intense. It's intense. It's like it's just like I said. It's insane how brilliant the mind is, and how
At dodging shit and doing mental
and
gymnastics.
then be drunk
It's
and
wild.
then like being intoxicated too. And it's like
Yeah,
it's
adding
like-
all these crazy chemicals in your
wow.
head, just fucking with you. It's like being a functioning human is hard enough as it is.
enough. It's so
And
hard.
the fact that we'll just fuck with ourselves because it's a tradition in society as a stress reliever.
Yeah.
There's bars everywhere, and it's just a social norm.
It's a stress reliever.
But it's
yeah.
insane. It's like there's so many other things you can do. Like get a hobby, learn to like build boats and bottles, or do puzzles, or go hiking, or play video games, like anything. That would
Yeah, like for
actually
instance,
be a
like
benefit
why is
for
everybody
yourself.
so stressed? That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
ask
Look at the
yourself
root of the
why you're
problem.
stressed. Like why is everyone so stressed?
Maybe it's because they're not righting their wrongs. One could say.
I would agree.
As a wink to our episode.
There's
yeah.
no inventory has been done. Make sure that inventory has been done, and then you can go into this step, because that inventory is a really, really hard aspect to really look onto, right?
Yeah.
And when you really like, from last episode, really just if you heard it last week, now you're hearing this episode this week. Take all this into next week and really just like, okay, you know what? Let me put some inventory together. Let me just figure out, what I can do better for myself, what I could do to make myself feel better. Don't worry so much about, oh, I have to quit drinking instantly. Think about other things that you can maybe replace it with. It's like, again, like just training a muscle, right? So you want to essentially pick up a weight that's heavy enough for you, that's going to give you muscle, but at the same time,
Isn't
it's not
gonna
heavy
break
enough
you.
where you can't pick it up.
Yeah,
It's
or
gonna
like they
break
say,
you.
you can't just eat the whole steak at once. It's one bite at a time. Yeah.
Exactly. And that inventory is really, like we said, last episode is a really, really special episode. So if you haven't caught it, please do check out episode 3.
Yeah. Episode
Step
3,
4.
step 4. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun what we're doing with numbers here. Yeah, I mean, obvious, like we're saying, we're going through the 12 steps in these first concurrent episodes, so they'll be chronological. But once we're done that, you can watch these episodes in whatever
And
order.
right, and then like really just like that's gonna be hard. It's not easy. It's really, really not easy. But I can assure you that when I'm looking back on it now, like I'm thinking about what was I really stressed out about? Like when you really think about the core values of like life and what the world has to offer, it has so much to offer, and you have so much to get from life. So I don't understand what we're all so stressed out about. We're all stressed out about things that we think we're stressed out about. But at the end of the day, you can change absolutely anything you want to change. And that goes from your money, your relationship, your car, how green your grass is, literally how good the water in is, your fish tank is in, like little things like that. Ice with no ice in your drink, like little things can change how like a person perceives anything. So really just pamper yourself. Like
Well, like the steps, although they were designed from the community of Alcoholics Anonymous, they're just general steps for life. It shouldn't be looked at like, obviously we're tailoring this podcast for people who are in recovery like ourselves, who are recovered alcoholics, but they're still just general, like we all just want the same thing.
yeah,
You just
we're
want
all the same.
happiness.
Everybody's the same. Everybody is the same. And a lot of people think, oh my gosh, well, these people have all this and that. It's like, so what do they have all that? So many people like, you can have no money, all the money.
It doesn't
It does
change
not
how the
matter. It
mind
doesn't
works.
matter at all.
People will still
Yeah.
find flaws in
This
their
doesn't
life.
matter. The richest people
Yeah.
have sometimes the ugliest souls. The poorest people have the nicest souls. It could be any situation. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. What it's your situation is what matters. Forget everybody else. Worry about what you can do to better yourself. And start slow and really, like, again, the last step and this step are really, really, really special steps.
Yeah.
Like,
It brings
really,
everything
really-
together. Like the steps that we're going to talk about going forward, if you haven't heard them, they're still important steps, the same as all of the other ones. But these two steps, 4 and 5, are the ones that put philosophy into your actual life, into the actions that you perform.
Correct.
It's just helpful tools because, as everybody says, work on yourself first, because when you're happy, then you can be
Yeah.
happy for others and help other people.
And there's a reason why you're like in this situation is because it's at the base core is happiness. That's the thing. Like I doubt there's alcoholics that are just like, so happy,
That are
like, they're just-
content and
they're just
happy
so happy. Like
and
it's
don't have
usually-
issues.
There's always a problem that the alcohol is trying to hide, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So that's where that inventory comes in. Like really figure out what you can do to make
Focus
those
on-
wrongs to rights.
Yeah, you gotta focus on those things that
Right.
you've been trying to escape this whole time.
And
Shine a light on it, and do what you gotta do. Rip off that band-aid, walk through the fire, get to the other side.
like literally what I like to say is like, what are you bringing to the table? Like literally think about, we're all the same in an aspect of we idolize things, we idolize people, we idolize all these like there's
Situations,
so many
anything,
things where it's like,
ideas.
I won't do this because this, I don't have this, I won't do this because you can do anything you want to do. Figure it out. That's the main thing, is figure it out. How can you figure out to make yourself feel better? And I can promise you that the feeling that you're feeling now with this alcohol and you're thinking that this is the best of the best, I can guarantee you that the goals that you set for yourself and things like that in your everyday life will be 10 times a better feeling than you're getting right now. Guaranteed.
Yeah, that's the one thing that most people don't think about. They're like, this feeling's great, but it's like so temporary.
Like, what
and
are you
it leaves such a
bringing?
negative
Yeah.
effect. You literally, people drink for selfish reasons, but when you don't and you actually face the hard things in life,
Yeah.
you feel
Now you're
so much
stepping it
better.
up. Now we're
yeah, if you
stepping
want
it
to
up.
do it for selfish reasons,
Now we're bringing it to the table.
find
Like,
yourself in
literally,
recovery
yeah.
for yourself, because you yourself will feel so much better than the cheap,
I always like to
temporary
say,
nightly feeling.
what
you
are
get.
you bringing to the table? That's what I always like to say. Bring something to the table. Don't like let yourself get like into this situation where you have almost no value for your
Yeah.
life, essentially, because you've
You're stuck in a rut.
yeah, and it's hard because this thing is almost an addiction, so it has a hold on you. But I can guarantee you, nothing has a hold on you. Your mind, and your everyday routine really, really comes into an effect. And 30 days, I always say, it always takes 30 days to really get into a routine. So find that routine and work at it slow. Chip at it away slowly each day. Chip at it, because again, the highs that you're going to get are going to be 10 times better when you build, or like I wasn't talking to my sister, for instance, like just this past like 2019, just before Christmas, is the first time that I've like literally spoke to my sister in probably like 2-3 almost 3 years.
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, would I like? Is that a fun thing to be going through? Like to be not speaking to your sister? It's like, well, why not just be on okay terms? I literally just one day sent a text message and just said, hey, you know what? We went through some things. I had a drinking issue. I said and did a lot of things, and it doesn't condone what I did, but I'm just apologizing because I really do. And I'm sorry. I want to change things and I want to move forward. It's not about being, again, it's not about being right or wrong. It's just because I'm sure she may think a lot of things, and I still think a lot of things where I was right in a situation and I was wrong, but who cares about the right and the wrong? It's at the end of the day, she's in my life, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
And that for me brings me so much more joy than not having her in my life. So therefore, it's like, wow. But when I was drinking, there was so much tension and there was so much negativity and so much things. It's like, wow, now I have a sister that I can talk to and like bond with, and like this wouldn't have been if I was still drinking, right? It's like that's the cake part, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Alcohol is the eating, and relationships is the cake. Yeah.
It is crazy.
Do you want to get rid of your relationships, or do you want to have it? Right.
Wow.
There is a better alternative than eat the cake.
It eats you away, man. It eats you, like literally. Oh man, alcohol is just a hard thing, guys. So don't think that what you're doing isn't going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but no, you can do it, and we're literally living proof of it.
Yeah. And plus, like, I still go to bars and clubs and stuff. Whatever reason you might think, like, oh, I can't do this kind of thing again. Of course you can.
Yeah.
Don't be ridiculous. You could literally do anything that you normally drink and do, but without the drinking.
Yeah.
Anything.
And little steps, whatever makes you feel comfortable, right? Like for me, I was having coffee at like 10 o'clock at night. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
or even like trying to do a night where you go to a bar with your friends without drinking as an experiment, as like a weird thought experiment.
I'm just like, I'll have a coffee. Why not, right? But I mean, if you want to go to a bar and not drink anything completely, nothing at all, no water, nothing, why not?
It's weird. It's not like I do it every day, but just try doing it once and just see what that experience is like.
Why not? Whatever floats your boat, and whatever is like, whatever you want to do to make yourself feel better and try something new. Exactly. Like, why not? Yeah. Why not? It's your rules. Make your rules and set them for you. And that's the main thing. Is so many, like, I like to use certain references, and the muscle reference is a great reference. So many people are so focused on, I have to gain this amount, I have to like gain this amount of weight, or I have to lose this amount of weight, I have to get this amount of muscle, I have to lose this amount of all this stuff. I have to meal prep. I don't have to meal prep. I have to jog this amount of times a day. It's like, figure out what works for you. Like, figure out what works for you. Doesn't mean you have to go boil a chicken breast and eat broccoli all day. That doesn't mean that you have to do that. Like, you see people doing that, but for me, it's like, I like rice.
Yeah.
Let me have some rice with my broccoli, and then let me have some chicken. Like, make it your way. It doesn't have to be so, this person did this, and this. So that
yeah, there's no
like,
specific guideline.
It's like, figure out, every equation is going to be different, but figure out what is the tastiest for you.
Yeah, what is yours? That can give you the best result. Give you the best.
Like, get those muscles working, man. Get those muscles moving.
Yeah,
them pumping. Get the blood flowing.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a great way to end it.
I think so too. Yeah, man. Just some mirror selfies.
Exactly.
Muscles. Hello.
Hey, get the flex going.
It's literally how you feel every single day. You're just like, the muscles just get bigger and they get stronger.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Exactly. That's all you can do for yourself, right? Hey. One day at a time. If you notice the days are slipping, then clearly something's going on. Right? Reflection always helps in those manners. But hey, yeah, thanks for sitting down with us and talking with us.
Yeah, we love it.
And spending your time chatting with us. Yeah.
Please come back.
As always. So we've pre-recorded the first like 4 or 5 episodes before we start dropping them. But please comment down whether you find us on Instagram, YouTube, whatever. Talk to us. Let's get a conversation going. Yeah, and then if there's any questions or follow back, like if you want to talk more about any specific subjects, please let us know.
Please do.
Yeah, if you want to have a conversation with us, you can hit us up. I mean,
or any topic ideas for the future. Like, we love it. Anything.
Yeah. Just let us know, and then we'll get back to you when we get back to you, as they say. Yeah.
Definitely. So again, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next week.
Yeah, until next week. We will see you guys later.
Bye.